Kyōka Suigetsu. Kyōka Suigetsu is the name of Aizen Zanpakuto in Bleach. The special ability of its Shikai, or released form, is complete hypnosis, a power that allows Aizen to completely rewrite a person's perception of reality. Once under its influence, Aizen gains total control over the target's 5 senses, meaning what they see, hear, smell, feel, and even how they interpret those sensations can all be manipulated at will. Because of this, a victim can easily mistake one person for another, allowing Aizen to deceive opponents into attacking their own allies while believing they are striking him. The hypnosis of Kyōka Suigetsu is so absolute that it doesn't just create simple illusions, it constructs an entirely false reality for the target. The only requirement to fall under its influence is witnessing Aizen's Shikai release even once. After that moment, the hypnosis remains permanent. It doesn't fade with time, meaning a person can still be affected even if decades or centuries have passed since they last saw the release. What makes Kyōka Suigetsu especially terrifying is that awareness offers no protection. Even if someone realizes they are under its hypnosis, they are powerless to resist or break free from its effects. Kyōka Suigetsu is one of the most pivotal tools in Aizen's arsenal, and it's hard to imagine him advancing his plans without relying on it. Beyond aiding his long-term schemes, the Zanpakuto is incredibly effective in combat, allowing Aizen to create elaborate illusions that distract and deceive his enemies. He can form a decoy of himself to fake his own death, or manipulate others into believing he is within their line of sight, even when he is actually miles away. Despite its overwhelming power, Kyōka Suigetsu, like all Zanpakuto, has its weaknesses. For Aizen to place someone under its hypnosis, the target must first witness his Shikai release. Additionally, while the hypnosis is nearly flawless, highly perceptive Captain-class Soul Reapers can sometimes detect subtle inconsistencies between the illusion and reality upon close inspection. However, its greatest weakness lies in the method of escape. The only way to avoid Kyōka Suigetsu's hypnosis is by touching the blade itself before the hypnosis is activated. Asura's madness. Asura's madness is born from his own paralyzing cowardice. Terrified of the world around him, he tried to protect himself by consuming his own weapon and human souls, eventually wrapping himself in his own skin in a desperate attempt to feel safe. When Asura is revived, this deeply rooted fear manifests as an infectious madness wavelength that spreads to those around him. It functions like a radio signal. Anyone within range gradually begins to tune in to his frequency of panic. Unlike traditional illusionists who create false images from the outside, Asura's madness works from the inside out. It exploits the cracks in a person's psyche, forcing their deepest fears to surface as undeniable reality. A small doubt about a trusted ally can be twisted into absolute certainty that they are plotting betrayal or murder. Victims frequently see the eyes of the Kishin everywhere, on walls, in the sky, or replacing the eyes of their comrades, creating an overwhelming sense of being constantly watched and judged. At its strongest, Asura's madness produces vivid and horrifying hallucinations, such as the world itself melting away or the ground transforming into a sea of blood. Yet the most dangerous aspect of this illusion is the false sense of peace it offers. The madness whispers that since the world is chaotic and terrifying, the only escape from fear is to abandon thought and emotion altogether, to deny reality itself. Song Song Fruit. The Song Song Fruit is a paramecia-type devil fruit used by Uta from One Piece. The primary power of the fruit is the ability to transport the consciousness of anyone who hears Uta sing into a virtual dimension known as the Uta world. When she sings, the minds of her listeners are drawn into this dreamlike realm, while their physical bodies remain behind in the real world, locked in a comatose sleeping state. Within the Uta world, Uta is effectively a god. She can freely manipulate reality, creating food, changing appearances, summoning weapons, or restraining enemies in ways that cannot be broken. While her victims are trapped in the dream, she can also influence their unconscious bodies in the real world, turning her audience into a mindless army that acts on her will. The existence of the Uta world is sustained by Uta's own energy. If she were to die while people are still trapped inside, their consciousness would remain there forever, unable to return to their physical bodies. In that that case, they would be condemned to live within the dream world as their real bodies eventually perish. There is also an ancient and demonic musical score known as Tot Musica. When performed by a user of this fruit, it summons a monstrous entity that exists simultaneously in both the Uta world and the real world, often resulting in widespread devastation. Under normal circumstances, the only way to escape the Uta world is for Uta herself to fall asleep, which causes the dream to collapse and releases everyone trapped within it. Death 13. Death 13 is a long-range stand wielded by the genius infant Manish Boy, and it is unique in that it cannot manifest in the physical world at all. Instead, it exists exclusively within the dreams of its victims. If someone falls asleep near Manish Boy, their consciousness is drawn into Death 13's dream dimension, which is where the stand becomes truly dangerous. The greatest threat of Death 13 lies in what happens after its victims wake up. Anyone who escapes the dream world loses all memory of what occurred inside it. This allowed Manish Boy to repeatedly attack the Joestar group without them ever realizing he was the one behind it. The dream world itself takes the form of a warped, colorful amusement park, hiding its lethality behind a surreal and playful appearance. Within this realm, Death 13 has near total control. It can freely manipulate the environment, transform objects, and instantly heal itself from damage. The stand appears as a cloaked, skeletal figure with a mechanical face, wielding a massive scythe. Injuries inflicted in the dream are not imaginary. Any damage a victim takes is reflected directly on their physical body in the real world. Death 13's most unfair advantage is that unless a stand user had their stand actively summoned at the exact moment they fell asleep, they cannot call it forth inside the dream. This leaves most victims completely defenseless, making Death 13 virtually invincible within its domain as the only stand present. However, this power has a crucial limitation. If someone manages to fall asleep while their stand is already active, they can bring it into the dream world and fight back. Outside of dreams, Manish Boy is just a baby. If the illusion is broken or he is confronted while awake, Death 13 has no way to protect him in the real world. Watchman boots. The Watchman boots are a vital instrument used by Amo in Gachiakuta, granting her the ability to manipulate fragrance. Their core function is the production of potent, invisible scents that, once inhaled, directly affect a person's brain chemistry and emotional state. Through these fragrances, Amo can influence how her targets feel, think, and ultimately perceive reality. Her most devastating technique involves creating a personalized scent. The boots analyze a target's deepest emotional voids or strongest attachments, then emit a fragrance associated with someone the target deeply trusts or loves, such as a mother, mentor, or close friend. This causes intense hallucinations, allowing Amo to appear as that cherished person. The result is a paralyzing psychological conflict. Even when the victim knows she is an enemy, they are emotionally incapable of attacking her. When the concentration of the fragrance becomes strong enough, its effects go beyond emotion and begin to alter perception itself. A battlefield can feel like a safe, familiar room from the victim's childhood, replacing fear with comfort. In Gachiakuta, vital instruments are powered by the user's soul, and Amo's fragrance is far more than simple perfume. It is a manifestation of her desperation for affection, weaponized into a terrifying ability that turns longing and emotional vulnerability into tools of control. Infinite Tsukuyomi. The Infinite Tsukuyomi is the ultimate genjutsu in Naruto, designed not to deceive a single person, but to completely overwrite reality for the entire world. Activated when the Rinne Sharingan reflects its light off the moon, the Infinite Tsukuyomi traps every living being under its influence simultaneously, placing them into a dream state from which they cannot escape on their own. Unlike ordinary genjutsu that manipulate the senses, this technique directly controls the mind on a global scale, suspending people in an eternal illusion where their consciousness is separated from the real world. Once trapped, each individual is placed into a personalized dream, shaped around their deepest desires, regrets, and ideal version of life. In these dreams, people experience happiness, peace, and fulfillment, often things they could never achieve in reality. Because the illusion feels perfect and emotionally complete, the victims have no reason to resist it. Their minds willingly accept the dream as reality, making the Infinite Tsukuyomi especially dangerous, as it does not rely on fear or pain, but on comfort and satisfaction. While their minds are trapped in this false paradise, their physical bodies are immobilized and wrapped in chakra-absorbing roots from the God Tree. Over time, this process drains their life force, converting humanity into chakra to sustain the tree itself. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more.